INFOWARRIOR with Jason Bermas. And we are going to continue to talk about the collapse of the dollar, the collapse of the U.S. economy, what's coming up at the G20 on the 24th and 25th, and really what they're getting you ready for, what they're gearing up for. And what they're gearing up to tell you is the dollar is dead. It will no longer be the world reserve currency. They set the SDR up in April at the last G20. They just kind of casually said, yes, we have this new special drawing rights unit. We're going to start moving towards that as the IMF and the World Bank and the Federal Reserve really start to become one entity. And that progression has continued to today, where on mainstream news, on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, they are openly talking about how the dollar will no longer be the world reserve currency and that we will have to go to a global currency. Now, I don't know if this means that we're going to have a hard global currency, such as the one that Medvedev showed, I think, about 2 months ago. He showed this coin that was a world currency. I don't know if that's going to be the model. I don't know if it's going to be a coin or a piece of paper or perhaps, a large statement that they just give to banks and other institutions. But I do know that the dollar is going to suffer, and when the dollar suffers, we suffer. And they're going to try to soften the blow, soften the punch, by telling you they're moving towards this green economy. That's what this carbon credit trading system is all about. It's about getting you into a system where you feel guilty for having bags of garbage, multiple cars, too many children, a big house, a large heating bill, and you get taxed to no end as your currency is being devalued at a point where you can't keep up. We are at second world nation status right now. In fact, the news is the dollar is the lowest. Here it is right here. Bloomberg.com. Dollar falls to a one-year low as economy spurs high yield demand. The dollar dropped to the lowest level in a year versus the euro as Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke's declaration that the recession is likely over, which is a complete and total lie. It's a cover story for this next sentence, which led investors to sell the U.S. currency and buy riskier assets. No, they're dumping the U.S. currency. They're dumping the dollar because they know it's on its last hurrah. I know this is an uncomfortable situation, folks. I know this isn't the greatest thing to talk about, but the dollar is dead. It's dead. It's deader than a doornail. I don't know what this is going to mean for me and my ilk, you and yours, but I do know it's not a good thing. I don't know if they're just going to get rid of the dollar altogether. No, it's still going to be our currency, but it's not going to be the world reserve currency. And they've been gearing this up for years and years and years and hyping it up now in the past few months, talking about Russia and China wanting a new global reserve currency. And then about 2 weeks ago, it was the headline over at the Telegraph. Here it is right here. UN wants a new global currency to replace the dollar. The dollar should be replaced with a global currency, the United Nations has said, proposing the biggest overhaul of the world's monetary system since the Second World War. And remember, the end of the Second World War was a huge achievement for the globalists. And it was a huge achievement for the globalists because they failed after the First World War to get the United States behind the League of Nations. Even though it was Woodrow Wilson's baby and there was the 14 points, most Americans didn't buy into it. They didn't want this form of global governance. They saw that it was threatening to their sovereignty, to their freedom, to their Constitution and Bill of Rights. However, after the Second World War, they were able to promote this agenda of a United Nations. And guess what? This time, the United States took the reins and said, yes, we're going to become members. So now the United Nations is propped up as really the apex of global governance. Okay? It's what the front is going to be for how things are going to be run. And why is this important? Well, it's important because Barack Obama is set to be the first sitting president to be the head of the United Nations Security Council. Isn't that a conflict of interest? They're about globalization. They're about the end of sovereignty. They're about a carbon tax for humanity, not for big business, though. Not for big business, for you and me. And Barack Obama's going to head this thing? Give me a break. We'll be back after this. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.
Hello, friends. This is Alex Jones here to tell you about Cal Ben Soap. My staff and I just love the old-fashioned, pure, handmade soap produced by the Cal Ben Soap Company, a family-owned and operated American company that's over 62 years old. Go to 5starsoaps.com or click on their link at INFOWARRIOR.com. They have been a longtime sponsor of ours. Cal Ben soaps meet the highest standards of quality, purity, and value. Everyone should use their great line of products. I consistently hear from my listeners and friends how much they love the Cal Ben Pure Soap products. Check out their whole line of bath, hair, laundry, and dish soap and more at 5starsoap.com. There is nothing like these factory direct, big money saving, triple concentrated soaps anywhere. Don't take my word for it. Get a free detailed catalog by calling toll-free 1-800-340-7091 or check them out online at 5starsoap.com. Again, go to 5starsoap.com and just try their products. You're going to love them. You will never use anything else again.
InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. And let's just go through some of these mainline articles right here to prove my point, what we've been talking about in the first segment. We're also going to take your calls, 888-201-2244 or directly 512-646-1776. Here it is. This is the Financial Times. Obama to seal U.S.-UN relationship. Now, of course, we've had a relationship with the UN since its inception. We really backed it, said it was a great thing. We need this. However, what we've done is through these treaties, which are really just fronts, these treaties mean almost nothing. Do you really think that the Middle Eastern nations out there, the Arab nations, actually go by what they said? No, anytime they want to poke a hole in it, like they did with Saddam's regime, in Iraq, they do. They say, oh, well, you know, they didn't go to this weapons inspection code and we're going to have Hans Blix and somebody else come in and search the area. And it doesn't matter if they don't find weapons of mass destruction. And it doesn't matter if they put out papers saying they don't think they have them. We're just going to go in anyway. That's what the United Nations is all about. It's about bullying smaller nations out of their sovereignty. And now Barack Obama, because we could talk to any nation, okay? I'm not saying we shouldn't have conferences. I'm not saying we shouldn't have open communications, talks, trade with other nations. Obviously, we should. I'm not completely against all globalism. But when it starts to infringe on my border, on my Constitution, on my Bill of Rights, on my dollar, my currency, yes, I'm against that. So Obama to seal U.S.-UN relationship, again, Barack Obama will cement the new cooperative relationship between the U.S. and the United Nations this month when he becomes the first American president to chair its 15-member Security Council. So, again, Barack Obama being prompted to become the president of the world. He's our new leader. And I don't know if we have that magazine here, but it was President of the Planet was the headline. And he's been deified in almost every major publication out there, from Newsweek to Time Magazine to the cover of the Rolling Stone. They're propping this guy up as the new leader. And then the UN says it wants a new global currency to replace the dollar. A new global currency to replace the dollar. The dollar should be replaced with a global currency, the United Nations has said, proposing the biggest overhaul of the world's monetary system since the Second World War. And I don't necessarily think that they need a world conflict to do this. In a radical report, the UN Conference on Trade and Development has said the system of currencies and capital rules which binds the world economy is not working properly and was largely responsible for the financial and economic crisis. Totally bull. We have this financial and economic crisis because the elite of the world are trying to squeeze the little guy, which is apparently what this new capitalism, a love story is about with Michael Moore's new picture. I have to watch it. I think he's in the wrong place blaming capitalism for what has happened. No, we should be blaming the top. They're the ones that squeezed us out of our homes. They're the ones that are squeezing us out of our property. They're the ones saying, yes, you are going to pay higher taxes. They're the ones saying, yes, you will have to pay for health care or we're going to penalize you. It's going to be like auto insurance. That's what Barack Obama said on the House floor. And I'll say it again. That, what is his name? Wilson there? Joe Wilson? Is that his name? I believe it's Joe Wilson. He said, you lie. Great. He should have been screaming, "You're a liar. We need the truth." I don't care if it's a presidential address. If you're a member of the House and you're sincere, you really believe what you're saying, you are fighting for the American people, you should be screaming at the top of your lungs, not quietly saying, "You lie, and then I'll apologize the next day." It doesn't make you a racist to comment on the policies of the current administration, and then the media wanted to make it about racism. Folks, I wouldn't care if the commander-in-chief was purple with a huge pink polka-dotted forehead, okay? If he was trying to pull what Barack Obama and his administration is trying to pull right now regarding healthcare, I would have said the same thing. And remember, they're going to gear you up for this new green economy. It's the buzzword. We're going green. Pittsburgh showcases green economy at G20 Summit. So as they ease you into a new global currency, as they say, you know what, the dollar's just not going to work as the global currency anymore, Barack Obama's not going to tell you it's a bad thing. He's going to tell you it's the best thing since breakfast, that it's going to help the world.